So it's a bit more than 2:30, so we are going to start this webinar. So a warm welcome to everyone. Today's webinar is about 112 in Ukraine, maintaining an emergency response during wartime. As you could see when you registered to this webinar, it will follow a keynote speech that was given by Leonid Tymchenko, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, back in April at EENA annual event. So the webinar will focus on presenting Ukrainian emergency services efforts to maintain and even improve emergency response in the face of Russia's invasion. So before we start, a few housekeeping matters before we begin. This webinar is being recorded as usual. The recording will be made available online later this week, most probably. Let me remind you also that this webinar is automatically captioned in your language. So to activate the caption, please follow the instruction that you can see on your screen. Note that the speakers will be speaking in English, so please indicate English as the source language if you use these captions. Also, if you have questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A section rather than the chat. We've allocated some time at the end of the webinar for a dedicated Q&A session. So now let's start with the webinar. I'm glad to welcome our speaker, Alina Shevchuk. Alina works for the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine as Deputy Director for organizational work in the ministry. So Alina, the floor is yours. You can start.
I'm sorry. Give me a minute, please. So. Can I start? Yes?
You can start.
Okay. The service 112 in Ukraine was response to emergency situation during the war. Now it's very actually, and but in the beginning, we wanted the system be like a normal emergency system, like all countries in Europe. But in this situation in Ukraine, it's very actually to the system in Ukraine. The communication center service in 112 were open now in Kiev with the service territory of Kiev and Kiev region, Vinnytsia, Zhytomyr, Cherkasy, Chernihiv regions. It's also in Lviv, covering the territory of Lviv, Volyn, Zakarpattia, Ivano-Frankivsk, Rivne, Ternopil, Khmelnytsky, Chernivtsi regions, and in Dnipro city with the service area of Dnipropetrovska, Donetska, Zaporizhska, Luhanska, Poltavska, Sumska, Kharkivska regions. Now it's now in processing is Odessa center, but now it's not opened. It's only in planning. We have some for this time. We have some achievements. The first of them, the short number 112 for SMS and outgoing calls. A workstation with video call capability for sign language operations was deployed to handle emergency communications from people with hearing and speech impairments. An international number was introduced for emergency communications from abroad to the 112 service. If you call this Ukrainian number in any country all over the world, your call will be in Ukraine. So if you have some problems with your family and you are abroad, you can call this Ukrainian number, and Ukraine will accept your call. So the next one is redirecting calls from 911 to the 112 service. So if the foreigner call 911, the call will be delivered to transfer to 112. The next one is autonomic receipt of information about the appliances location during calls from smartphones to the software iOS and Android. So it's very actually, because if where we receive the call, we can see where the someone who calls now, and to help in any situations, and it will be very fast. The system 112 has some structure. So the professions of 112 service operator was introduced in the National Classifier of Profession of Ukraine. The substructure of the 112 service was developed, which includes to the organizational department, the technical department, and the 112 service communication centers in Kiev, Lviv, Dnipro, and Odessa. As I said before, the Odessa it's not open now. When creating the 112 service communication centers, the company took into account the requirements and inclusiveness and security measures for employees working under the material law. Workplaces have been set up at the 112 service operators, have been working in the shelters to handle emergency calls via 112 phone number during air raids. So when in our situation, when the operators are working, and if it's air alarm, we have workplaces in the shelters, and we can continue working and help other people in emergency situations. So the next step is ensured employment of the war veterans and people with disabilities in the 112 service of Ukraine. In our state institution, it's good practice to employ the injured people and war veterans. So the technical support of the 112 service, its modern cyber security system have been implemented, backup system have been created, scalable and physically separated network to ensure fault tolerance, provided the 112 service with several and network equipment, developed its own software for proceeding emergency calls for further integration with one information and communication systems of the emergency services. Secure communication channels to emergency response several were built. About the integration. The integration between the information and communication systems of the 112 service and the State's Emergency Service of Ukraine was completed. The short number is 101. Integration between the information and communication systems of the 112 service and the National Police of Ukraine was implemented. The short number is 102. Remote access of the information and communication system of the 112 service was provided to emergency medical care and disaster medicine centers, the short number 103, and gas distribution network operators, short number 104. The basic principles of the 112 service includes connected people, which means the 112 service can be used by any person from any location by any method. connected arrows. The 112 service is the only channel for citizens to contact us. In case of any type of emergency, in case of complex emergencies, Service 112 is an information data exchange hub for all errors. And the third is Connected Future. New generation 112 is an open platform that allows for the rapid introduction of new modern services for the improvement of the next generation of 112, as well as artificial intelligence. For this purpose, participation in the similar head by EENA on December 4 or 5th, 2024 in Santa Cruz, the Tenerife, Spain will be provided. As I previous tell about the short numbers, you can see here our short numbers you can call in emergency situation, except 112. It's 101, 102, 103, and 104. Since the launch of the 112 service from June the 1st, 2023 to 31 of October 2024, the 112 service communication centers received a total of 3,650 and 478 million calls via the single 112 telephone number, of which which is included 14 and 64% of the total were forwarded to emergency response services. So you can see that all these four numbers can be used except the system 112, and any who needs help can call this number. As I told before, it's 101 is State Emergency Service, 102 National Police, 103 it's Emergency of Medical Care, and 104 it's Gas Distribution Network. You can see the next slides. You can see the our photos of our offices in Ukraine. The first one is Kiev, Central Macro Region, it's named. And as I said before, this center includes Kiev and Kiev region, Vinnytsia, Zhytomyr, Cherkasy, Chernivtsi regions. It's 5 regions at all. The next one is Lviv. Yes, Lviv. That's covering the territory of Lviv, Volyn, Zakarpattia, Ivano-Frankivsk, Rivne, Ternopil, Khmelnytsky, and Chernivtsi regions. It's all included 8 regions in Ukraine. And the third one is Dnipro. Dnipro city includes Dnipro, Dnipropetrovska, Donetska, Zaporizhska, Luhanska, Poltavska, Sumska, Kharkivska regions. So it's 7 regions. And now during the war, our emergencies don't stop. They continue working in any situation, any call. We don't stop help people. We works and providing assistance to the population by calling single telephone number 112. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alina. Do we have any question for Alina from the attendance?
There is a question on the Q&A section.
Yes, indeed. So we have Greg who is asking, do you get device locations when someone calls 112? And is it AML that is used, or is there network-based positioning as well, or instead? Alina.
Thank you for the questions. When someone call 112, we can see geolocations through our operators can see geolocation of someone who calls, but it's only when you use Android or iOS telephones.
Okay, so it's based on advanced mobile location, right?
So sorry.
So it is AML, right? It's provided through Android and Apple phones, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. Then we have another question from Jonathan. How many languages do you have to manage across the different emergency numbers? How do you facilitate multilingual needs?
You means our operators, how many languages know?
I think the question is about the number of languages that you have to speak to be able to respond to anyone.
In our call centers, we try to employ the operators who know some foreign languages. Now it's very popular for all centers is English, and in our Kiev center it's Polish, it's German, it's French, and maybe Italian, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So we try to employ people who know different languages to make easier work for in any emergency situation.
Excellent. And how maybe this question about the languages leads to basically a few other questions. So basically you have call takers speaking a few languages. So how does it work concretely? So when someone calls, you identify the language, let's say French. How does it work? Then the call taker who took the call doesn't speak French. You will forward the call to someone who speaks French. Operationally, how does it work?
The operator that work this operator know who know the people with whom he or she is working. So everyone knows what person know which language. So when someone calls, maybe it's French, yes, he or she operator transfers the call to that operator that knows this language. That's all.
Okay, excellent.
It's during 1 second.
Okay, and how do you recognize the language? I mean, the call taker, because the call taker knows more or less to differentiate languages, or do you have a tool that is able to differentiate languages?
Our operators didn't have problems with this situation. So when someone called, they identify the caller, and it wasn't problem till now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I
Thank
hope it's clear for Jonathan. And then there is another question from London. So I will read it again. I actually, Alina, I don't know if you see the questions yourself.
No, I don't see.
You don't see them.
Now I'm see, yes.
Okay. So I will read. I will still read, but at least you have you see where to find them. So basically, it's Louis from London, and he is asking if it's a question about the international number that you have set up for people basically to call 112 from abroad. He is asking how it is used. Is it mostly utilized by emergency services from other countries, or rather by people, by like maybe Ukrainian based abroad?
As I said before, I don't know the situation with someone abroad called 112 in Ukraine. So maybe I can't give you an answer you want. But in Ukraine now it's getting popularized, this number, and now we want to popularize the Ukrainian number that that you saw in my presentation, that maybe someone will call.
Okay, so this is more targeting citizens. So it's for
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because I think Louis is asking this question because in London, as in many touristic areas, they have calls from people that basically are in contact with someone abroad. So it's basically someone based in, let's say, Belgium, calling a friend in London, and this person in London basically get to know that his friend in Belgium is having a cardiac arrest just during the call. Okay, so the person in London would need to get in touch with emergency services in Belgium, but they can't. So they call 112 because when they call 112, it goes to 112 in London. And London Emergency Services, for many years, they had to basically connect themselves with emergency services all over Europe. It's not that easy. So I think this is why Louis from London Ambulance Service is quite interested in this international number. This is the context. But okay, so I understand that this is for citizens. But in case emergency services would need to reach out to 112 Ukraine, they could use this number, right? Is it correct? Could
Yes.
They could use this number? It's not only for citizens.
No, it's not. It can be used, but not only for citizens. But now it's using by the citizens.
Okay. Okay. Super. Thank you, Louis. I hope it's the answer is good for you. So then we have Freddy Hanson. So his question is about the type of CAT system that you use. Can you tell us more about that? And I guess you see the question.
Is our emergency call centers that type of system do you use? How do you work with the load of distribution between operators is carried out automatically?
Sorry, what do you mean?
It works automatically. What's type?
No, but maybe CAD. So CAD it stands for computer-aided dispatch. So basically, it's the software that you would use to enter all the information that you get from the caller. and that will help to dispatch the emergency units, basically, to make it very simple. Do you have such a software, and which one do you use, if you can share this information, of course?
We're now in the process of buying all the technical that can make easier our work.
Okay. So there is a tender or that is ongoing, or that will be ongoing. Okay. Then we have the question from Mateusz. I guess you see the question about emergency call centers. And basically, if they are interchangeable. So I believe by interchangeable, here he means that can, for instance, the PSAP in Kiev take over the calls from the PSAP of another region? Is it possible are they connected in a way? Can you say it again for security reason? Maybe you can't, but if you can say, can they take over? Like one of your call centers, for instance, is, I don't know, there is a technical problem. It doesn't work anymore. It cannot receive calls anymore. Can the call go to another call center in Ukraine?
Okay. Thank you for your question. I can say that yes, our call centers are interchangeable. So if one of the centers has some technical problems, or our operators are very busy and can take a call, another center can. The calls are transferred to another center, so the work doesn't stop. We can continue taking calls.
Okay, very clear. Thank you. Then we have another question from Federico. I think it's the same question, actually.
Yes,
it's the same question. So we can go to the next one then. From we don't know, actually. How do you manage to move the production to shelters in real time? Are the shelters location manned 24/7, as well as the normal 112 center? How does it work when you have to go to the sheltered location? Do you already have people there, or you have to move? How does it work? Because it's true that if people are in the call center and they have to move to another one, how does it work? Or is it already in sheltered, actually?
In our centers, we have workplaces in the shelters. So I said before, when I talked about my presentation, that if any situation, emergency in the world, in Ukraine, or air alarm, we can continue working in the shelters. We have the same working places as in our office. The work doesn't stop. Our operators need to go down to the shelter, and they can continue working.
Okay, yeah, very clear. Then we have a question about silent calls. Is it clear for you what are silent calls? Basically, like calls without anyone speaking, or people who can't speak. What do you do in such a situation?
We have for these cases, we have video calls, and we have a sign language interpreter.
Okay, sign language. Okay. And if really you don't have anyone speaking, but you suspect that it's a real emergency, do you have like protocols? You will send anywhere a unit, or what do you do?
We took such calls, and our sign language operator gave all emergency help that the person needed in that situation.
Okay. Then we have someone who is asking about, let's say, the legislation related to caller location. Is there any, I mean, usually it's by law when you call emergency services, you automatically approve to be located, otherwise it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I'll let you answer this question.
Can you repeat, please? I'm sorry.
You can read it. It's the one from Sasha about the location.
Yes, we have some forbiddance about the identify geolocation, but in this case, we always ask the caller where he is in this moment of calling. So we don't use this information if we don't have an allow.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, we have many questions, Alina. You are very popular. Many questions. So I propose to go to the next one, the one from Hans Peter. Are you allowed to let us know how many cyber attacks you experienced?
We didn't have cyber attacks, so we don't have an experience.
Okay.
In this situation.
Okay. Thank you. Then you have someone asking if you support SMS to 112. I think you had something about that in your presentation.
Yes, it was in my presentation that we support SMS to number 112. SMS and calling.
Okay. And people...
And video calls, even e-video calls.
E-video calls, okay. And people do not need to register before. It's
No.
there is
You
no
don't need.
Okay.
And when someone calls, you need to say about the situation, emergency situation that connected with this call, and then the operator asks you about your name, surname, about your date of birth, about your place of living, and asking about the geolocation where you now, so and what emergency service you need. You don't have to register, but you have to tell all the information we need to take rightly your call.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Then we have a few questions about location, I think, from Adam and Fiona. Maybe you can look at the first one.
We can get this geolocation from your smart device. It's Android or ISC. So in this case, providers, I think, have some information about your location in this case. So that provider can can see your location. It's not it's not exactly, but the provider can see.
Okay. Then we have a question from Fiona on how the caller's location is transmitted to first responders. Do you use like radio and it's shared by voice? Or do your first responders have devices that can get the location directly from your emergency call handling system?
In all our centers, we have the distance workplace, so we can transfer the audio call and the card to another emergency service.
Okay, but so first responders, the ones on the scene of the incident, so people on the field, how to, like people, for instance, in the, I don't know, in the police car or in the ambulance, how do they get the location? Do they have a device in their ambulance, or do you call them via radio and you tell them, okay, it is this address you have to go?
Okay. When we transfer our call to another emergency service, we have to give some information to this service about the caller, the call, the situation, and the geolocation. In all case, in maybe 80% the caller tells his geolocation. So we ask him at the beginning of the conversation, and the caller tells you this information. And we put this information into card, electronic card, and this card is transferring to the this emergency service that have to go to this situation.
Okay, so maybe then to make it clear to everyone, actually you have a stage 2 model. So meaning that as 112, you receive the calls, okay, then you collect information, and then it's not your call takers who are dispatching the resources. You are actually forwarding the information to a specialized call center like police, medical services, or fire and rescue, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
And then these ones will dispatch rescue units, right?
You're right, right.
Okay. It's clear now. Okay, perfect. Okay, then actually it's the answer to the next question from Guido. So I believe we can go to the next one. So it's Fiona again. Yeah, basically it's still the same question. Do you know how it works between the like the, for instance, medical service and the ambulance? So how do they send the data to their staff on site? Do they use radio, or do they send?
You mean another emergency service? Yes, it's
yes, the other one.
to the employees. Yes.
Police to policemen in the streets, for instance.
Okay. So it's yes, it's when we transfer the card to the another emergency service, this card it's automatically put on them someone who have to work with it.
Okay, thank you.
So, and that's why they have, they can see in their system this information, and they automatically put this work to the policemen that have maybe have not very busy at this moment.
Okay, okay, good.
It's by computering. It's
electronic.
electronic.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is electronic.
Okay. Then we can go to Graham. I think it's okay. Louis, for I guess you won't have that because you said that basically you kind of very quickly triage the calls and then you forward the calls to someone else. So you don't use, I guess, specific protocols to define which kind of injury, for instance, it is about. You don't have like a question tree to define what is happening basically. How do you work? Do you have questions on your screen and then depending on the answer, another question is coming? Or do you use specific protocols?
Every all the work that doing operator is electronic. So when we have a call, the operator put in the classify this situation. Now we are developing the event classifier to make easier work and to make sure that the situation will be solved in a very short time. So we have only programs on which we work, and protocols is, of course, it's like a documentary for us to make something with programs, but we don't have a specialized program.
Okay.
It's all everything by electronic.
Then we have another question about silent calls. So it's basically asking if the person is not deaf or understands sign language because they are in a risky situation, can you communicate with them in any other way than sign language or video? So you said you have sign language, you have video, you have SMS. Do you have anything else? It's already a lot, but do you have anything else?
We can say that person that call that he or she can write an SMS for us and in chat 112. So we can solve this situation and can in this emergency situation that the person is.
Okay.
So if person can hear, we can say something to this person, and it's easier for us, even when worst cases.
Okay, very clear. I think we have a good picture on how you can handle this kind of calls. Then we have a question that is not really about what you do, but about what can people here in the, let's say, the EENA community can do to help Ukraine. It's quite a general question, but do you have any needs from I mean, the EENA community? How can they help? Exchange of best practices or solution providers, consultancy? Is there any needs?
I only can say my own opinion as person, not
Of course.
employee.
Yeah, of course.
It's, I think, the first of all, it's some materials for us. It's like programs. It's if we say if we're talking about 112 system, it's some programs. It's some materials that we need, technical, and I don't know, and maybe education. Maybe we can take some education from other countries that we don't have. We always want to develop our education. It's very good for us.
Thank you. Point taken. And you know that from EENA side, at least, there is a lot of documentation that is made available online on our website. And also the EENA staff is always available. So if you have any question, of course, don't hesitate to reach out. There is now, we are almost at the end, Alina. We have another question about video calls. It's a Guido who is asking what type of video calls do you support? I'm not sure of what it means, however.
It means what program?
I don't know.
Software of what is software?
Maybe Guido can add a bit more context in the chat, and we'll answer this question a bit later if we can. Then there is something more about the operations. What kind of training for dispatchers do you have? How they become a dispatchers in PSAPs?
Now we employ the operators that have some work experience, so we don't have to teach. And now we have some courses. We take courses for our operators, even for the operators who have great work experience, and we educate them. So we always educate the operators. We want to develop their knowledges, and so that, like that.
There is a question now about calls that are coming from occupied regions of Ukraine. Can you receive calls from these regions?
So yes, our Dnipro city, our center, this territory in Dnipro can take calls from Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia. It's nearest center. So yes, they can.
Okay. Then there is a question about the applications that you use in your PSAPs in the call centers. Tilen is saying that basically they can see two monitors on the work desks. So on the photos that you shared, two screens, probably one for mapping, GIS, and one for call taking. Is it right?
We have about the answering about the question. I see. We have some programs, Cisco, and our software provided by Stefalcom. So we use this software about about who responsible for public alert. It's not the responsible of our state institution. I think it's another service. I think it's State Emergency Service of Ukraine.
Okay. Okay. Good. Then someone is asking if you have implemented e-call emergency flows. So basically calls coming from cars.
We practice now these calls. We have not much, but every day we have 1, 2, 3 calls from cars, and we want to implement some normals in our legislation to provide in our government this call.
Okay.
We are working now for it.
Okay, and then the last one, and then we'll close the call because it's almost 3:30. We have Guido who is back with some context about the question on video calls. So basically, he's asking if you can do basically like Google Meet or FaceTime. I'm not sure what
WebEx.
Yes, WebEx, Zoom, but do you do that with citizens calling?
No, we in our state institution we use WebEx. If we talk about the video calls from our people that call to System 112, it's the program that was developed by Stefan. It's our IT firm in Ukraine. So WebEx we only use in work.
Okay, yeah, I believe. It was my guess. Okay, Alina, thank you very much. This is the end of the questions. I can see that we had like more than 25 questions. So thank you very much to answer all these questions. And before we close the call, I have a few things to say. First of all, I would like to thank Alina again.
Thank you.
We know that it's a very, very hard time right now in Ukraine. And thank you for taking time to be with us today. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Sana, who will update you on our next activities very quickly.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Alina. That was very insightful. And I would just like to mention a few of our upcoming activities. So if you would like to see more of our webinars, we have one coming in December about cardiac emergency responses in rural areas. So you can check out our website for this webinar and also our other upcoming webinars. Then we have some events coming up. So our annual conference will be in Helsinki, Finland next April, and the registration is now open. So you can check that out on our website, as well as our upcoming members seminar in Tenerife, which will be on NG112 and AI Days. And you can check both of those out on our website. Thank you again for this webinar, and I will give the last word to you, Jerome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanna. Very last words. Please do keep an eye on our website and newsletter for more information on upcoming EENA activities. Anyone who is not receiving our newsletter, please feel free to reach out to be registered. Again, thank you, Alina, to my colleague Sana as
you.
well for coordinating the webinar, and to all the attendees for your participation and for the many questions. I think it was a very interesting question and answers session. So again, thank you, everyone, and we look forward to see you again soon. Take
Thank you.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.